Nerd reactor, roll out.
What's up, Reactorites? I just got done playing The Last of Us Part 2, and the game's been out for, what, a couple months?
Mm-hmm.
And there's been a lot of talks, discussions about this game already, but since I just got done with playing with the game, I have to talk about it now. I got Nick here. He's played the game before. He's got a whole month of being able to take things in, and I don't even know where to start. I guess the first thing we can start is the initial knee-jerk reaction after completing the game. How did you feel?
Oh, gutted. I felt like I went through like 6 different endings, each worse than the last, until it ended.
It was worse than the Lord of the Rings. Like, I was okay with the Lord of the Rings endings because I want to see them, Bilbo, Frodo, all the cast living happily ever after. But this one, it was like the complete opposite.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like the feeling, it was like, for me, that part, it felt like, all right, spoiler, there's going to be a spoiler filled video, FYI. So with that, I'm like figuring out when is Ellie going to be able to find Abby and kill her. And it's like, okay, now we're at this farm place. All right, okay, all right. Is something going to happen? And it keeps fading out with other events. And she's playing the guitar. I'm like, oh, oh my
So
God.
freaking frustrating. So, and I'm not just, and I think we talked about this off camera quite a bit.
Yeah.
We're not the typical people who hated it because they killed Joel.
Yeah, let's talk
There's a
about
lot
that.
more reasons to it.
Yeah, let's talk about Joel. Like, I understand as a motive, Abby wants to kill Joel because Joel killed her dad. It makes sense. And we've seen a lot of shows, video games where these things happen. Beloved characters, characters that you've played, and then in other series or games, they die. Spoiler alert for Silent Hill. Silent Hill 1, you play Harry. In part 3, he dies. Very similar to this one. So it's kind of like seeking justice, the daughter figure, Ellie. And then in Silent Hill, you have Heather Mason, a.k.a. Cheryl Mason. So there was no angst there, I guess, because this is like before social media and all that. So I'm pretty sure if Silent Hill 3 came out now, people would be pissed off. But there was no Abby beating the crap out of a defenseless Joel
With a 5-iron.
with a 5-iron. But then we can go back to shows like Walking Dead. Again, spoiler alert, when Negan kills Glenn, that was very brutal. But I think the difference is how they set that up. It's all about presentation. You can have these stories, killing beloved characters. You got to present it in a way where it's interesting and you're hooked and you have to go back. And I think the way that Naughty Dog did The Last of Us 2, I didn't think they succeeded in doing that, because the whole time when I was playing Abby, I didn't care about her character. Like 95% of the time. Like the 5% was at the very near end when you can see Abby feeling defeated, and she was skinny and she just stopped. She just doesn't want to do anything anymore.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's incredibly frustrating from the beginning. I mean, we talked about this again off camera about the pacing of it and where they put certain things and how it's in a weird order. And if it was in a different order, it would make more sense, because your feelings would be a little different.
Yeah.
Such as putting the Abby part before Ellie. Like my theory is, if you loaded up the game and the first thing you did was young Abby looking for her dad, you're like, who the hell is this? You start to learn about the character. Then you learn, that her dad was the doctor. You're like, oh snap, this is going somewhere.
Yeah.
It kicks off the story right away. Then you play through the whole thing with Abby and you're growing up, playing as her, getting down to get Joel. Then she kills Joel. Then you play as Ellie from her perspective up until he's killed, and then you're on your way to get him. get her, get Abby. That I feel like would have been better pacing. And then if you went back to Abby for a little bit, you wouldn't be as like, because it was literally you play as Ellie right at the beginning, Ellie and Joel, and then he's killed. You play as Ellie for a little bit, and then it's Abby. And you're like, I don't want to freaking play this chick.
Yeah.
Everybody, if you go watch all like the reactions, like freaking everybody's like, I don't want to play this girl. Can I shoot myself? I'm like, dude.
That's what I did. Like when I was playing the game, the first chance I got, I tried to just have Abby killed. And I'm going to show the footage like in this video of her. There's a part where she's swimming. I just made her drown. I just made her like just choke up from the water.
And you felt pretty good.
Yeah, there was a part where the boss battle with Abby versus Ellie, where you have the option of hiding and hitting her from behind, but I just try to run and try to tackle her and just have Ellie shoot me over and over and over again. Like I did this, like I think I did that 5 times before I was like, you know what, I gotta finish the game. But I did that 5 times with that Ellie boss fight. It's like, I get it. I understand what Naughty Dog was trying to do. Like the whole story is about this whole revenge cycle. It never ends. Everyone's just killing each other back and forth. It starts off with Joel killing Abby's father, and Abby gets pissed off, so she kills Joel. And then Ellie gets pissed off, so she kills all Abby's friends. But in the end, she lets Abby live. And I think you had an issue with that?
With Abby being let go at the end, being spared?
Yeah.
Yes. So I would have been fine if the game ended with Abby letting Ellie live and then ending it with the farm. I wouldn't have loved it. But from that point, things just got worse and worse. And I'm saying that's the point of the game where I feel like there was 6 more endings and each of them was progressively worse.
Yeah.
Because it would just cut to a black screen. You're like, that's it. And then it would start again. You're like, oh, here, there's more. And then it would cut to a black screen and you're like, that's it. It did like 6 times. But what really upset me was from that point forward, they threw every piece of character building that they've made for Ellie and just completely threw it out the window. Made no sense. Okay, she's at the farm. She gets the thing where she's got to go get him. That's Ellie, right? Ellie's got to get this person, but she keeps throwing it off. No, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy where at. Tommy comes back, which, by the way, when Abby comes in and takes out Tommy and Jesse, right? They were like, no. And then they ran off and had their fight. And then there was no like, Tommy's dead. They didn't even check on him. Because if she did, she would know he's alive, right?
Oh, yeah. They did.
What the hell is that about?
They did it in a way to make you question whether he was dead. And then later on he shows up, he's alive. Because I was like, oh, he's dead.
Well, you don't even think. Yeah. You don't even think that he's dead. I mean, you think he's dead, right?
Yeah.
But like
how they killed
Ellie's character, Ellie's character, that's all she has left from Joel, like physically, like his brother, right? Yeah. They went out there, they went out to do the same thing. And she apparently didn't even check on him or just left him there for dead, which made no sense to me whatsoever. That upset me. So he shows up and, oh, you're alive. And then she goes back. I was like, okay, this makes more sense. Let's go freaking get her. But the whole conversation with Dina beforehand saying like you need not to do this. She put everything on the line, knowing fully well that if she left, she's risking everything.
Yeah.
And yet she goes through stab wounds and falling on crap and every bull crap thing that could happen with these randomly involved rattlers, human traffickers, were they're just plucking right now at this point. And she gets through all that. She has a vision of Joel, right? And because she's about to be like, okay, I'm gonna let her go, has a vision of Joel, and then goes after her. Has another vision of Joel. You can go. What? Then it cuts to the scene where after the dance, she says, I'll try to forgive you. Mm-hmm. Cuts back to her in the house. She walks away from the guitar and everything left from Joel, just leaving it behind. Big F you to Joel. Like, what the hell?
I think with that, what they're trying to do, like, I'll try to forgive you with what Joe did at the hospital, is her trying to forgive Abby. Like, I'll try to forgive you. So it's kind of like that shot. Like, okay, Joe pissed me off by hiding this information. There's got to be a way for me to forgive him. So they show the little quick thing, and then, all right, maybe there's a way I can try to forgive Abby too, because we've been killing all our friends and families with each other. There's got to be a way to end the cycle.
The issue is at the end of the game, it cuts to a cut scene where they're talking about after the dance, right? And how Joel's like, I don't care about you and Dina's situation, F them. And then he's like, if I had the chance to do it all over again, I would. No sweat.
Yeah.
And he's like, I just hope you can forgive me for that. And she's like, I can try. Then it cuts back to her in the empty house because Dina left her with the kid, not her kid either, right? And she leaves the guitar. She played it one last time, leaves the guitar, and just leaves. I'm assuming she comes back to the house. I hope so, because otherwise that's a big freaking F you to Joel, right? Taught her how to play guitar. He got it for her as a gift. It's the last thing she has of Joel. And she's like, you know what? F this dude. You didn't try.
Or
at that point, you gave up on trying.
Or she just wants to leave everything behind. I don't know. At that point, I didn't care. Like, whatever it is, I just stopped caring about the game. I just wanted to finish it. And it's like when you mentioned before about how if you were to play Abby at the beginning, and then maybe you'll feel a little bit more sympathetic for her compared to playing it after, because you've seen what she's done to all these people around Ellie. People are still going to be pissed off. Like, oh, why are we playing this character? Who is this person?
Well, it's intrigue, right? So you're learning about her right off the bat. You find her dad, and within the next scene, you find out who her dad was. So that makes sense.
Yeah, I think what they can do is kind of do a parallel story, whereas you go back and forth instead of one whole first half with Ellie, one whole first half with Abby. So maybe just focus on Abby first and then cut to Ellie at the dance. Just make things chronological order so that if you feel you care more about these characters, and then maybe have Joel die like in the middle, the midpoint. So you're like, oh no, what just happened? Instead of at the very beginning where you're just pissed off the whole time. Because every time they do a show or movie where you kill off the character you like Game of Thrones, spoiler alert, Ned Stark, he gets killed. You do it at the very end. You don't get a chance to be pissed off later on, but you're still pissed off. But you're like, oh my God. Like, you see it. You see the stories converging on why they want to kill Ned, and now you're invested. You're hooked. Here, you're not hooked because you have to play as Abby. The way they did it, you have to play as Abby after she kills Joel. So you're pissed off. If they did the whole back and forth, there's a better way to do it. Your way, what you mentioned, it could have been a lot better in terms of how you feel and not feeling angry. Just a feeling of not wanting to play the game, because I felt like playing as Abby, I'm like, this is torture. When is it going to stop? It just keeps going. I feel like the game didn't know when to end at that point. Even with the ending, even with the entirety of the second half.
I mean, there's a lot of things they could have done differently, and they didn't know. I feel like he knew how he wanted to end the game, but he didn't really know, because you can tell throughout the game there's a bunch of filler, tons of filler stuff. Oh, I need to open this gate. I got to find the generator. There it is. Got the generator. Out of gas. Got to find a gas canteen. Okay, let's go find gas. Oh, there's a place. There's a note I happened to find that talked about gas. Let's go get it. Oh, it's empty. There's only one other place. We got it. Go all the way back to the door. Put the gas in. Start the generator. Open the door. That's like freaking 30 minutes. 30 minutes of gameplay to open a freaking door.
Yeah. The game sucks the life out of you.
And then all that bullcrap that she went through, and by she, I mean Abby, to get to the hospital, to get the drugs and the materials they need to heal Lev's sister. In the next scene, when they go to the island, she gets killed. You're like, oh, there goes another freaking hour of gameplay wasted.
For nothing. You know what this reminds me of? The Last Jedi. It's like...
That's probably the best analogy.
This whole theme of everything's building up to something. Like Rey is building up to bring the lightsaber to Luke Skywalker, and he just tosses it. Oh, there's this mysterious mystery villain, Snoke. He dies in Last Jedi. So it's kind of that whole thing of trying to put a twist in it, and there are ways to do it that are cool, but not this. This is just a twist to piss you off.
Yep. And the worst part is at the end, you don't get to choose whether you kill her or not, which would have been a great way to end the game. I'd have been completely fine with it. 99% of people would have killed Abby.
Of course.
And then gone back and not done it just to see how it ends.
Yeah.
Right? But the fact that they made you not kill Abby and she gets away tells you one of two things. Either they plan on bringing her back for a third part,
which I'm not going to play,
or she dies in the boat from her wounds, and Lev, when he finally comes to it, finds out, comes after freaking Ellie again. And it all comes around full circle, dude.
I don't want to see another revenge story again. It's
just,
it drags on, and I get it. I get the message. Revenge is bad. It's a vicious cycle, and then you have to learn to let go and forgive.
But what is Ellie left in the end? Nothing. No Dina, no Jesse, no Joel, no Tommy. She could try to go back to the town. That's the best she's got.
Yeah. Start anew.
But how do you think Tommy's wife's going to take it?
She's not.
So Ellie's decision making when she gets there makes no sense for all the buildup from Last of Us Left Behind, and everything up until that point. Again, her character wouldn't do that. Realizing she's given up literally everything to walk away.
I think I'm okay with that, like her character decisions, because she's still a flawed human, and then they can make mistakes. But it's just, we're still playing a game. We're still playing a fictional game. We still want some kind of resolution. I think Neil Druckmann and the team, they just want to show you this is the repercussions of revenge. And
but he's also pompous. You know why?
Why?
This is a dick move. They purposely made fake story trailers and it wasn't even, they already had this whole story planned out for the game. Then they released the trailer, and it showed Joel grabbing Ellie and pulling her back and being like, "You thought that you did this alone, kiddo?" And you're like, "Oh, he's alone." So when I was playing the game and I saw him grab and pulling her back, and it ended up being Jesse instead, I'm like, "What the hell?" And he came out and said he did that because he wanted to preserve the story so nobody found out. No, That came out as false advertising. I'm sorry. Jacked up.
There are games that do a lot of like these fake outs.
Well, why don't the people from No Man's Sky claim that? Oh, well, we just wanted to fake you out so you didn't see that the game was really completely different than what we showed.
Was unfinished. Like the biggest game I can think of that did a huge fake out was Metal Gear Solid Part 2, Sons of Liberty, where you're like playing Snake. It's going to be a Snake game. And then after the tanker incident, you're playing Raiden. And you're like, who is this guy? But I still enjoyed it because it's still praising Snake. They're building him up to be a badass, and you're still getting to the story. The story's still interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not as pissed off.
Right.
This one,
but the story from the trailer, like the actual, it could have been a misleading trailer, but it was still part of the story.
It was still part of the story.
But this wasn't. They completely changed it.
Yeah.
They completely changed it.
Yeah.
So
Avengers did that with the trailers. They changed certain things like the Hulk. But then in the final movie, it's the Hulk Buster to preserve the surprise. But I guess, yeah, it depends on how you change it. If you're changing it and then to piss off the people, don't do it. But if you're changing it to actually make the surprise good, so when you actually see it in theaters, you're like, oh, this is badass. So I think I believe that they think that the audience is going to take it a certain way, but we're at this. I want to close up this thing, but I just want to say that we're at this point where these creators think that these ways to do twists, they think that these twists are going to make people more engaged, like Ryan Johnson with The Last Jedi, with Game of Thrones, the last 2 seasons, because a lot of people hated the last 2 seasons. There are some people that like it, but there are people that hate it because it felt rushed. This one,
it just doesn't make sense. It's so convoluted and trying to be filled with stuff and deep things like transgender stuff. I'm like, I get it. I'm hit with it freaking everywhere. This isn't a new thing.
Yeah. This
isn't new. And to make a side character of a side character and try to put them up in the front and make them think, we didn't know Lev very well. We still don't know Lev very well.
Yeah.
Like, not that I don't care that Lev is transgender. I just don't really care about Lev because he's not really a big character.
Yeah, I don't care about Lev because Lev is part of Abby's story, and anyone that's a part of Abby's story, I can care like less about them. Like I don't.
And for
I don't
anybody
give 2 shits about them.
And for anybody complaining about the lesbian relationship between Dina and Ellie, have you not played The Last of Us Left Behind? You find out Ellie's a lesbian then. And then on top of that, there's a way more rough sex scene between Abby and Owen. So that's not a good argument. The only arguments are the pacing, chronologically weird. The ending, in my opinion, doesn't make sense for Ellie's complete buildup. And the random stuff, like the random extra stuff you have to do. And to me, the whole transgender thing is just as much filler as getting gas. It's just filler because it had nothing to do with the rest of the story.
Oh, it's they're really drawn that out. Yeah, like another side character. Like you wouldn't do a side character with an elaborate story. In the end, for me, I just didn't care about Abby. I only cared about her 5% when all her friends were taken away from her. I was like, oh, okay, I do kind of feel bad. But then I snapped out of it. I was like, all right, let's end her life playing as Ellie. But nope, they took that away from me too. So I'm left with nothing. Ellie's left with nothing. I think a lot of gamers out there are left with nothing. I think that's the message, what Naughty Dog wants. You want to play these games where you're murdering a lot of people, you're sneaking around? Oh, yeah? We'll give you nothing.
It honestly, there is not a trailer in the world that would make me want to play Last of Us Part 3.
Yeah, I'm done.
The story is just too convoluted.
Ooh,
Just
you know what?
hmm.
Joe comes back from the dead. He sees a talking clicker.
Oh, dude, here's the thing. There was a theory with the original trailer that Joel had died, like he did,
Mm-hmm.
but Ellie was still seeing him as part of like her psyche.
Yeah.
So she was still seeing him even though he wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
That'd have been a better story. Just that alone.
Oh yeah.
Still seeing him and stuff
Oh
like that.
yeah,
Like,
just him
see what
talking
I'm
to
saying?
her,
Yeah,
but he's already gone.
he's already gone. So,
Yeah.
but she's like mentally seeing him.
Oh wow.
Just wasted potential, wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
And I understand what Neil Druckmann wanted to do. He wanted to be edgy. The first game was edgy. This was just it felt forced. It just felt weird with filler, and yeah, we're just repeating ourselves at this point.
Yeah, we're just
We're starting to sound like Neil Druckmann.
But yeah, those are our thoughts. Let us know what your thoughts are on the comments below, whether you agree with us or disagree with us. If you enjoy the game, that's great, you know. But in the end, it's mixed. There's mixed reactions. People's going to hate it. People's going to like it. And I think Naughty Dog, for me, failed at trying to get a whole audience just captivated and engaged. I know there are people that love it, but in the end, I don't think there's going to be that many people excited for part 3. We'll see. We'll see when that comes out. Maybe it'll sell millions. Who knows? Because The Last of Us 2 sold a lot. I'm not sure how many people returned the game afterwards, but yeah.
I'm looking forward more to Ghost of Tsushima 3 than Last of Us 3.
You skipped part 2.
Again,
Yeah.
3. I don't even, the third game, I don't care. Give me Half-Life 3. Goodness gracious.
No, we got a Half-Life Alex, so that's something.
Alex is great.
Yeah. So just play Ghost of Tsushima. I'm going to play Ghost of Tsushima after this. So we'll see you guys next time. Peace.